light within our hearts, light within our thoughts, light within our words. May one and all and everything, blessed and loved, ever be. Welcome. I am Sister Who. With me today on the show, I have my friend Eric Breault, and I'm not sure the best way to introduce you. You've done clairvoyant readings?
Yep, I've done psychic readings, yep. I do sound healing, Reiki.
Healing using all sorts of tones and sound and so forth?
Yes, I use lots of tones and sounds. I use tuning forks, specific frequencies from 100 hertz to 700 hertz, depending on what specific needs that a client needs. I have several...
Because the understanding is that there are certain frequencies and pitches that actually have a healing effect upon the body.
Yes, it does.
Which is another show.
Yeah, it is.
We'll have to talk about that sometime.
Yeah.
What we wanted to focus on today, though, was maintaining integrity in these metaphysical spiritual practices. Because in that we're dealing with something invisible, there's not a lot of ways to confirm whether it's really happening or not. Other than the long-term effect of, well, did you get better over the next few weeks? Well, that doesn't help you a lot in the actual session when you're dealing with a practitioner.
Yeah.
Somebody says, I can heal you by sprinkling herbs on you. I can heal you by sprinkling crystals on you. I can, whether it's sound or touch or whatever it is. How do we maintain integrity? Because for every person who really is utilizing a spiritual gift to do a healing work, there's somebody else, as I jokingly sometimes say that we live in the age of P.T. Barnum, the quote being, there's a sucker born every minute. There are unscrupulous, opportunistic people who learn the right words and are glad to take people's money but aren't really doing anything. How do we sift out and wrestle with the question of, is it spiritual guidance or is it an overactive imagination? Or is it an unscrupulous person who really isn't being honest?
Yeah, that's where discernment comes in, the picture of that. When you lack the trust in yourself and that with a trust in others tends to I feel that affects how people bring that energy and what they connect and what they don't resonate with, who is correct and who is right and who's doing the practitioner honesty. And that's where the integrity comes in. And I think a lot of it has to play is what we have lessons for ourselves in our journey, and we attract those at a time when we're learning, for opportunities to learn and grow.
When you say lessons for ourselves,
yeah.
That's relating to an understanding or a presumption, if you will, that the soul makes choices before entering incarnation?
Yes, I think we make choices before we enter here to give us opportunities to grow and expand and to encounter difficulties and challenges when it comes to spiritual integrity and honesty between others that are around us. And those that are not being truthful to us, they're teaching us something that we're not being truthful to ourselves. Make sense?
Like so many things in metaphysical areas, I find that sometimes it seems true and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it's just...
It's not... I think a lot of people would like to reduce the whole area of spiritual perception, interaction, and metaphysical reality to a formula. If I do 2 + 2, I get 4. Maybe. I think in the whole spiritual realm, in one sense, humanity has always been a collection of spiritual beings. But in terms of our conscious understanding, and there are a lot more conversations happening now about intuition and trusting intuition. And there have been references to it perhaps throughout human history, but I don't know that it's ever been regarded as a dynamic in the way that it seems to be now. And of course, a lot of people are very unfamiliar with the very notion of having an intuition or using an intuition. And in some circles we talk about energy And that may be foreign terminology to a lot of people also. I guess in listening to the way people talk to each other,
Yes.
I often hear people say, well, what does your gut tell you? Or someone will say, when so-and-so walked into the room, I just got a bad feeling about it. Or I wondered, suddenly everything felt cold. I don't know that people think of that as psychic perception, but it really kind of is.
Some people think it's like a gut instinct, but it's feeling the vibes, either good or negative, whatever that you enter.
And if you say feeling the vibes, a lot of people would say, no, I don't do that. And then you say, but did you ever feel, and most people would say, well, yeah, I did. For reasons I can't explain. I felt at home in this environment and something changed and I didn't feel comfortable there anymore and I don't know why. I think it's because this is a whole new area that humanity is beginning to explore on a more conscious level.
Yeah, we're very frequency beings, so what we send out for frequency, our sound that comes through us, we resonate at different frequencies at different times when it comes to that. And it could be like a low frequency, which is very negative, and we emanate that energy outwards. And also magnetic field. We have a electromagnetic body around us. And these are scientifically speaking.
Yeah.
And they're proving that
scientifically, we've known for a long time
Yeah.
that muscles respond to microcurrents of electricity.
Yeah.
There's actually electricity that makes our muscles move.
Yeah. When somebody comes in, they can feel that energy going outwards at them, and they may not know why they're feeling it. They may be unconsciously or maybe somewhat consciously feeling the energy of the other person, the vibes.
Wherever you have electricity, you have electromagnetic fields. The two kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're just beginning to learn all the effects of magnetic fields.
Yeah. And the planets have it, the plants have it, the sun has it, everything has it, the humans, insects. They all carry that magnetic energy. And through our thought patterns, it affects the magnetic energy to the point that we sense the energy, the frequency around us. And when we're giving negative vibes to other people and affecting them negatively, and that's where we have to protect ourselves from those that we don't trust.
And sometimes it's those we haven't learned to trust.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that they are untrustworthy.
No.
It may mean that we're simply not at that point because we don't have enough information yet.
No. And a lot of times when we face these people, they're teaching us something about ourselves, even if it's negative or positive. It's not a bad thing. I think both of them are good aspects. I don't want to say good or bad, but those are natural aspects of how we exist as human beings. We are spiritual beings.
And as human beings, we're very accustomed to speaking in polarities.
Yeah.
The good and the bad, the right and the wrong, and so forth.
Yeah.
Most of the natural world, if I can use that term, doesn't orient around such polarities. I mean, it's a spectrum of possibilities and a spectrum of forms, but it's not that it's more right or wrong to be one or the other. They just all serve different purposes.
Yeah.
And they affect relationships in different ways.
They do, yeah. And that can be a challenge when it comes to spiritual integrity.
I sometimes find the low vibrations reassuring and grounding and comforting. And high vibrations inspiring and visionary and exciting. And so I don't really like to speak of them as positive or negative, but at the same time, there are negative vibrations. And then maybe the reason we can't distinguish between them very well yet is because our language hasn't kept up with our discoveries.
Yeah, yeah. Language kind of blocks our understanding what negative and positive is. When you think of a lightning bolt, and you get a positive and negative together, you get a flash of lightning and amazing.
In terms of electricity,
yeah.
Negative and positive are not good or bad.
No.
They're the two interactive polarities. I'm not even sure what else to call it. We keep stumbling over our language because we don't have words to describe what we understand.
Yeah, because in existence we live in up and down, left or right, and whatever. It's three-dimensional, our existence. So we tap into, our awareness of those things. I believe in the lower dimensional existence, but we think we're in three-dimensional, but I think there are more dimensions that we cannot see. We're learning to tap into the higher dimensional energy, to be awareness of it, of that energy, and understanding.
Speaking of energy, I have to remind myself frequently that there was a time when we did not have Geiger counters. Radiation still existed, and it still affected people in sometimes very damaging ways. But we had no way of detecting it because we hadn't invented a Geiger counter yet. Now we have a Geiger counter, and so we can, because of the Geiger counter, we can say, yes, there is radiation, no, there is not radiation. There may be a dozen other kinds of energy that in future years we will invent particular kinds of Geiger counters to detect those energies. We don't have those inventions yet, but it doesn't mean the energies are for that reason less real.
No, it's like seeing the world, like in ancient times we thought the world was flat, but it was
that's where
actually round.
as you found, you can do work with healing with sound.
Yes.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and there's so many different reasons for the diverse outcomes.
Yeah. Yeah. And the sounds have specific frequencies, and people who tend to come are willing to go through the healing process, to release and let go. And I find the sound actually helps with releasing imbalanced energies, blockages that comes from encounters that are very disruptive, chaotic, and brings them out of that connection of who they are during their days, which are the challenges of keeping their spiritual integrity in check with that energy.
How do you keep yourself in check to know when you're overreaching?
How do we keep ourselves in check?
Yeah, so that I'm not promising something that the tool doesn't have the ability to deliver. You know, one of the metaphors I often use is brushing your teeth. If you brush your teeth every day, you may never have a cavity. If you already have a cavity, brushing your teeth might not make a dramatic difference. It's preventative more than it is curative.
Yeah.
And so I can't say, brush your teeth and your cavity will go away. Poof. No, that's overstretching. That's making a claim that the tool can't produce. As much as there is a nurturing effect to sound, since that's the tool you're familiar with, there are limits to what it can do.
Yeah, there are limits to everything. That's where...
and being respectful of those limits.
Yeah.
And the limits on predictability.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that I'm 100% healed. I just say I tell the client, whatever works at this time is for the highest good. I just don't say that I'm going to cure all, because the work I do is not from me, doesn't come from me. It comes from within, flows through me, and whatever works for that time. There might be one little thing that's working on, but not any other areas at the time. Because healing is a process. It's a process.
And sometimes a very subtle process.
Very subtle. And I find that each time a client comes, they're like, the third time they're like, oh my God, it's much more powerful than the last time. And they come the fourth time, they're like, because they're opening up more. It's a gradual process. A one-time session is not necessarily very beneficial fully.
You won't necessarily notice a dramatic result.
Yeah, some do at first, but then they think the first one is the best, and they say, my God, the fourth one is the best. It's new experiences are more expansive. It's about healing and becoming more aware of themselves.
And ultimately, it may be accurate to say the most recent one is the best.
Yeah.
The more times you do it, it's always the most recent one is the best because you're further along.
Yes, and that's the sessions are like a journey. And the people that do it, they enter a meditative state where they're mindful, and they sense energy. And they say, people tell me, I've never been able to meditate or connect. And the sound just allows me to connect.
Going back to our basic point of integrity then, it could be that you'll need to try something more than once to find out.
Yes.
And if you notice that the journey isn't happening, it may be time to find a new practitioner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that that practitioner isn't right for anybody, but it at least means that that practitioner is not right for you. Because the healer-client relationship is so unique from one person to the next. I mean, there are some people I can work with and other people that I have to send to someone else because I don't have what that person needs.
Yeah, and it means that the universe is directing them to somewhere else too. At the time it was good, and this time it's good that they move on because that's their journey, and my journey is this journey, but their journey is what they're doing. And when I'm doing the sessions, it benefits my well-being as much as theirs.
It's not I am the healer, you will be healed.
No, it's just because
I'm the servant.
Yeah.
I'm here to help you in any way I can.
I'm a facilitator of the energy.
Yeah, if someone starts making claims, to me that's a major warning flag.
Yeah, and I'm just there to assist whatever the process they're healing at the time being, because you cannot take everything out at once because it'd be so overwhelming. Because life is full of challenges where our spiritual integrity is tested, and we will be tested. That's part of our existence, is being tested through the challenges, lessons that allow us to grow.
If you want to, I'm not usually fond of hierarchies, but to use the metaphor of martial arts training, the only way you recognize your progress is by engaging in mock competitions, pretended competitions, where you have a chance to demonstrate your skill, and by demonstrating your skill, the instructors note whether you have mastered a particular maneuvers or whatever, and you may be awarded the next higher level of belt based on how your ability has developed.
Yeah.
But the only way to make progress is, well, to use another metaphor, to do the road test.
Yeah.
You know, to take it from all the intellectual, yes, I've thought about it, and okay, now it's time to actually do it and see if it does what it says it should do. And if it doesn't work, to figure out why. And everybody's different.
Trial and error.
Trial and error, but most of life is trial and error, and there's not near as much certainty as we want.
No.
And, but on a parallel subject, I guess, or parallel note, I find that my body does not respond to herbs. I can take all the herbs anybody says and they don't have any effect. But when I started wearing magnetic bracelets, I could feel the difference in my joints within 24 hours.
Wow.
So for me, magnetics has a lot of effect. For somebody else, maybe not so much.
Yeah, it's just different for everybody, and herbs are not meant to be part of your existence, I guess. At this time frame, it could change in the future, you never know.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you should never try it later.
Yeah.
But for right now, it's not the right one for you.
No, and that's okay.
But it may be right for someone else.
Yeah, it might be right for somebody else. Like, for example, sound healing might not be for them, but homeopathy might be for them.
So going back to the basic point of integrity, though, what tells you, or what is a warning flag to you if you are talking with someone and you begin to get this intuition that they're giving you a sales pitch? You know, that maybe the claims they're making are a bit exaggerated.
The warning flag for me when they become very pushy, or the energy is very overwhelming, like sort of pushing it on, like almost like a business person.
Okay.
Like a car salesman, that kind of energy, I feel.
Trying to talk you into something.
Talk you into something.
Like, who are you trying to convince, me or yourself?
Yeah. And that's when I say, okay. That's when I back off.
I think the work should speak for itself.
Yeah.
You know, if you do it and it doesn't happen, that you should be able to say it didn't happen without blaming yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
If if it is truly my fault that it didn't happen, I trust that that will become clear in time without somebody telling me. I don't need someone to say, it's your fault, you didn't, you know.
No, it's not about blaming. Not about blaming, because, you know, I'm sure everybody at one time or another approached somebody that was sort of a little too pushy and they wish they didn't do it. Because I feel everybody's challenged in some way. And I'm trying, with my work, is my challenge, spiritual integrity, is making it not a competition. Making it about, that's why I like to do the holistic fairs, is to allow others to bring in their spiritual awareness and also help them out as well. And because it's not all about me, it's about all of us spiritually working for the betterment of ourselves so we can be the betterment of humanity.
Mm-hmm. But serving the work.
Yeah, serving the work.
Which the holistic fairs you refer to are essentially small gatherings where there are a number of different readers of different modalities.
Yeah.
Some use cards with symbolic images, some use sound, some use, I guess what you might call channeling Reiki energy. The Reiki is, as I understand it, is described to be the energy of life that is somehow transferred from one person to another according to specific methods that have been developed over time. Is that a more or less accurate description?
Yeah, Reiki, universal energy, channels through you, and it's just, but it's evolved, like you said, it's evolved over time.
Well, and through practice. People trying things and finding out what worked and what didn't.
Yeah. Some people don't want to do the symbols. That's okay. I don't typically do symbols. I just allow the energy to channel, and I just do its thing and become one with the client. I always become one and that's where ego gets out of the picture.
But when you're speaking of being one, you're referring specifically to a spiritual level.
A spiritual level.
Not a physical level,
no.
Not a psychological level, not an emotional level.
We're not, as third dimensional beings, that is not capable. Spiritually, yes. I feel that there are existences where higher dimensional beings we call mending, where there are beings that are...
mending or melding?
I think they mend as one. They kind of, is it melding or mending? I'm not sure, but I believe they blend as one.
I'm inclined to say melding, but...
I think it's mend. Where they melt.
Would be to pull back together something that's been broken.
Yeah, and that's an example. But I'm just saying, as a soul level, you have a twin flame energy where they, the female and the male energy mend. Sort of, they become one.
Merging?
They merge, yeah. You can merge. I call it mend.
But the challenge with merging is not to completely lose yourself in it.
No.
It's, I can't remember exactly the exact phrasing, but it was something like, the creation of the orchestra does not mean the annihilation of violins.
Yeah.
You still have violins and cellos and all these distinct voices within the orchestra. They don't lose their individuality, they simply learn how to
exchange on energy at a deeper level.
They learn how to collaborate.
Yeah.
How to integrate, how to weave their voices and qualities together into a greater whole than any of them could accomplish on their own.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're almost out of time already.
Oh, wow.
We always barely scratch the surface of so many wonderful things, and then we run out of time. But hopefully we've given people something to think about. Yes, there are charlatans and con artists who are making use of the terminology in ways that are victimizing. So be careful. For every charlatan that's out there, though, there are also genuinely legitimate healers using unconventional things like sound or touch or things that maybe we're not traditionally accustomed to thinking of as healing tools.
Yeah.
But in fact, over time, you know, we look in the mirror and say, I do feel better.
Yeah.
And I do feel more secure than I used to.
I feel the work is very empowering and very...
And if it's not empowering, beware.
Yeah. And I've heard a friend of mine, a massage therapist, she had encountered somebody doing Reiki, and she says I had not a very good experience, and I felt that this person was was draining me than more than giving.
Yeah, if you walk out of the session feeling more exhausted than empowered, that's another warning flag.
And she'd never had a session until with me. And she said, Eric, you're just, she just says, now I feel good about Reiki. You know, some people just...
After doing a Reiki session with you?
Yeah, with me. And
any final comments for our viewers as we wind up this particular topic?
meaning in a sense how to approach a practitioner and how to intuitively.
If there's one thing you wanted to remember from watching the show, what would that be?
Just do with discernment. Feel what you feel intuitively. Sometimes just closing your eyes and connecting, and you'll discern if that practitioner or the people that you are interacting with are genuine, per se.
And one's own discernment doesn't have to be approved by anyone, no matter what their resume is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much for everything you shared today.
Sister Who.
And thank you all for watching.